The Vorthax counterstrike. Emperor Zalthun's claws dug into the armrests of his command throne as the holographic display flickered with the latest reports. Seraphis had fallen. Not just fallen, it had been humiliated. The humans had dismantled the system's defenses with surgical precision, sparing civilian transports while annihilating every warship that dared resist. They mock us, Zalthun hissed, his voice a guttural rasp. They broadcast our weakness to the galaxy. High Admiral Zorith, his carapace still streaked with the scent of fear pheromones, bowed low. My Emperor, our border fleets are regrouping, but the humans. Silence. Zalthun's 4 eyes burned with fury. I will not hear excuses. The humans have struck first blood. Now, we drown them in theirs. He activated the war table, and a star map of the neutral zone flared to life. Order the Black Tide Armada to purge the human outpost on Tarsus 4, he commanded. Leave no survivors. Broadcast their deaths as they did Leora's. Zorith hesitated. Tarsus is a civilian research colony, my Emperor. The Galactic Accords. Zalthun's strike was so fast Zorith didn't see it coming. A single claw ripped through the Admiral's throat, silencing him forever. The only law, Zalthun spat, is strength. The trap at Tarsus. Admiral Jace Veldros stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the live feed from Tarsus 4. The colony's distress signal had come in 12 minutes ago. They took the bait, Commander Rook said, her voice tight. Veldros nodded. Tarsus 4 wasn't just a research colony. Beneath its surface, buried deep in the ice, was Project Banshee, a network of gravitic mines, each capable of tearing a capital ship apart from the inside. How many? He asked. 300 Vorthax warships, Rook replied. Including their new flagship, the Dread Maw. Veldros allowed himself a grim smile. Perfect. On screen, the Vorthax fleet descended upon Tarsus like a swarm of locusts. Their plasma batteries lit up the sky, raining fire on the seemingly defenseless colony. Then the ground answered. Gravitic mines detonated in sequence, ripping through the Vorthax formation. Ships crumpled like paper, their hulls imploding as artificial singularities bloomed for a fraction of a second before vanishing. The Dreadmaw listed violently, its engines torn clean off. Now, Veldros said. From the shadow of Tarsus Moon, 200 human stealth frigates decloaked, their railguns already locked onto the survivors. It wasn't a battle. It was a slaughter. The Emperor's blind rage. Zalthun watched the Dreadmaw's final moments in stunned silence. The transmission cut out just as the human fleet closed in. Lies, he roared, smashing the console. This is trickery. The humans do not have such weapons. His remaining advisors cowered, but one figure stepped forward, General Vexus, a scarred veteran of the Crixian Wars. My Emperor, Vexus said carefully, we have underestimated them. They have played us like fools. We must regroup. No. Zalthun's mandibles flared. We strike at their heart. Order the Doom fleet to Earth. Burn their homeworld to ash. Vexus stiffened. That would violate every galactic treaty. The other empires. Let them watch. Zalthun shrieked. Let them see what happens to those who defy the Vorthax. As the orders were relayed, Vexus exchanged a glance with a junior officer. A silent understanding passed between them. The first crack in the Empire. In the slums of Vorthax Prime, Crix huddled over a stolen comm unit, watching the carnage at Tarsus. The humans had let the colony's civilians evacuate before the battle. His sister had been on one of those ships. A new message scrolled across the screen, encrypted, in broken Vorthax script. The Emperor bleeds. Will you watch, or act? Crix's claws trembled. Then he typed a reply. I act. The hammer awakens. Back in Sol System, General Darian Cross stood in the control hub of the Anvil, Earth's last line of defense. Before him loomed the hammer of Sol, a planet-killer cannon buried in Luna's crust. "Sir," an engineer said, "primary ignition sequence is ready." Cross stared at the weapon. It had never been fired. Not even during the Kessel massacre. Now, the Vorthax were coming. And the hammer would answer. The silent awakening. Deep beneath the ice sheets of Europa, the winter's bite shipyard stirred. For decades, it had lain dormant, disguised as a civilian research station studying subsurface oceans. Now, its true purpose was revealed. Massive plasma torches cut through the ice, and the first Obsidian-class stealth dreadnoughts emerged, their black hulls drinking in the light. On Earth's moon, the Pale Horseman orbital fortress disengaged its cloaking field. What had appeared to be a derelict mining station unfolded like a nightmare flower, revealing rows of planet cracker railguns. Admiral Jace Veldros, freshly awoken from cryostasis, stepped onto the bridge of the EFS Retribution, the flagship of Thunderclap's First Fleet. His augmented eyes flickered as they adjusted, scanning the tactical displays. "Status," he barked. Commander Alira Rook, his second-in-command, didn't look up from her console. "All ships reporting green. First wave at 92% readiness. The Vorthax still have no idea." Veldros smirked. "Good. Let's keep them blind a little longer." The Emperor's arrogance. Meanwhile, in the Vorthax Imperial Palace, Emperor Zalfun lounged on his bio-throne, mandibles clicking in amusement. His advisors projected the latest human transmissions, pleas for explanation, demands for justice. "Pathetic," Zalfun sneered. "They bleat like herd beasts. Let them scream. Their words are as empty as their threats." High Inquisitor Vor, still stained with Leora's blood, bowed. "Our border fleets report no unusual activity. The humans hide behind their pathetic orbital defenses." Zalfun's antennae twitched. "Double the patrols. If they so much as sneeze a frigate across the neutral zone, burn it." He didn't notice the shadow flitting across the edge of the sensor feed, a single human stealth drone, transmitting everything back to Earth. The first strike. 24 hours later, the Retribution lurched out of warp at the edge of the Seraphis system, a key Vorthax supply hub. "All ships, combat stations," Veldros ordered. "Remember, precision. We're not here to slaughter civilians. We're here to send a message." The Vorthax defense fleet, 200 vessels strong, spun lazily in orbit, their commanders complacent. Then their sensors screamed. 500 human warships decloaked simultaneously. "Open fire," Veldros said. The Retribution's main railgun spat a tungsten round at 0.1 light speed. It punched clean through the Vorthax flagship, Dread Fong, splitting it in half before its shields could react. Panic erupted. Vorthax ships scrambled, but human AI targeting systems locked on with terrifying efficiency. Commander Rook watched the slaughter with cold satisfaction. "They're trying to run." Veldros didn't blink. "Let them." He tapped a command. Every human ship stopped firing. The surviving Vorthax vessels froze, drifting in confused terror. Then the Retribution's comms crackled to life. "Attention Vorthax fleet," Veldros said. "You have 1 hour to evacuate this system. Then we burn your stations. This is your only warning." The broadcast heard across the galaxy. The footage of Seraphis destruction spread like wildfire. Human stealth drones captured every angle, the surgical strikes, the spared civilian transports, the Retribution hovering like a specter over the burning shipyards. But the real masterpiece was the transmission Earth sent afterward. On every screen in the galaxy, 2 videos played side by side. Left side, Leora Vex's execution. Right side, the Retribution's railgun tearing through the Dread Fawn. Beneath it, a single line of text. "You killed one of us. We killed your pride." The Emperor's rage. Zalthun shattered his throne room viewscreen with a single strike of his claws. "How?" he roared. "Where did these ships come from?" His intelligence minister trembled. "Our spies, they never reported." "Failures." Zalthun backhanded him across the chamber. "Mobilize the entire fleet. Burn their worlds. I want Earth's oceans boiling." But as the orders went out, something worse happened. The Vorthax people saw the truth. Whispers of rebellion. In the slums of Vorthax Prime, a young worker named Crix huddled over a stolen human datapad, watching the footage of Seraphis. Unlike the Emperor's propaganda, the humans had spared escape pods. His sister had been on Seraphis Station. She was alive. Crix's mandibles tightened. For the first time in his life, he doubted his emperor. The calm before the storm. An unnatural silence blanketed Earth's orbital defenses. Admiral Jace Veldros stood on the observation deck of the EFS Retribution, watching the last civilian transport streak toward Mars. The evacuation orders had gone out 6 hours earlier. Every screen on Earth now showed the same chilling message. Vorthax Doom Fleet inbound. All citizens to shelters. Commander Alira Rook approached, her usual composure frayed at the edges. Scouts confirmed their composition. "It's worse than we thought." The holodisplay flickered to life, showing the approaching armada. Veldros's gut tightened. 800 capital ships. Triple their initial estimates. At their center loomed the World Razor, its spinal-mounted plasma cannon glowing ominously. "Time to intercept." 2 hours, 17 minutes, Rook replied. "General Cross reports the hammer is primed, but there's a problem. The flaw in God's hand." Beneath Luna's surface, General Darian Cross stared at the Hammer of Soul's diagnostic readouts. Sweat beaded on his forehead despite the chill of the underground complex. "Explain this to me again," he growled at the chief engineer. The woman swallowed hard. "The weapon was designed for deterrence, General. Not sustained combat. Firing sequence requires a 27-minute cooldown between shots." Cross's knuckles whitened around his datapad. They'd get one clean hit before the Vorthax adapted. One chance to break the Doom Fleet's spine before Earth's orbital defenses crumbled. "Prioritize targeting solutions for the World Razor," he ordered. "And get me Admiral Veldros on secure channel." The first move. The Vorthax didn't wait for formal declarations. At 1.2 million kilometers from Earth, the Doom Fleet's vanguard unleashed a plasma storm toward Luna. Defense platforms intercepted most, but 3 got through. The impacts rocked the moon's surface. Deep in the Anvil complex, emergency lights flickered. "Shield integrity at 68%, a technician shouted. Cross didn't flinch. "Return fire." The Hammer of Soul discharged with a thunderous roar felt through vacuum. A tungsten uranium projectile crossed the distance in 2.3 seconds, striking the World Razor's command spire. The flagship's shields flared, then failed. The explosion lit up Earth's night side like a second sun. The Emperor's Gambit. Aboard the secondary command ship Dread Talon, Emperor Zalthun watched his flagship's destruction with eerie calm. "Phase 2, he commanded. The Doom Fleet fractured, not retreating, but dispersing. 300 ships broke toward Earth's undefended southern hemisphere. Another 200 dove for the gap in Luna's coverage left by the Hammer's recharge cycle. Veldros saw the trap too late. They're not here to conquer, he realized. They're here to punish. The burning sky. Over Jakarta, the first plasma bombs fell. Defense grids intercepted 70%. The rest turned city blocks into glass craters. Across Africa and South America, the same horror repeated as Vorthax destroyers bypassed military targets to strike population centers. On Luna, Cross watched helplessly as the Hammer's recharge timer ticked down, 1847. 1846. Then salvation came from an unexpected quarter. The Ghost Fleet arrives. From the debris field of Mars shipyards, 187 stealth cruisers emerged, the Spectre wing, a black ops division even most admirals didn't know existed. They struck the Vorthax flank with gravitic torpedoes, ripping apart engines and weapons arrays. Not enough to win, but enough to buy time. As the Hammer's systems finally reset, Cross made a choice that would haunt him. Target their homeworld. The weapon recalibrated, its aim shifting toward Vorthax Prime. The message that changed everything. A priority transmission cut through the chaos, unencrypted, on all channels. The screen showed a bloody General Vexus standing in the Vorthax Imperial chamber, Emperor Zalthun restrained at his feet. Behind them, thousands of rebelling citizens and soldiers. Human fleet, Vexus rasped. We have your justice. Stand down, or you become the monsters. The camera panned to show Leora Vex executioner in bindings, his carapace cracked and leaking blue ichor. Veldros and Cross exchanged a look across the light years. The war wasn't over. But the battle for Earth's soul had just begun. The transmission from Hell. The emergency alert shattered the quiet of General Darien Cross quarters like a gunshot. His wrist-com glowed blood red, a priority Omega signal, a classification reserved for existential threats. He'd seen it only twice before, during the Kessel border wars, and the day the Martian colonies revolted. This better be a damn drill, he growled, swiping to activate the holographic display. The image that materialized stole the breath from his lungs. Leora Vex, Earth's brightest diplomat, the woman who'd negotiated peace with the volatile Tarkassi syndicate, was on her knees in the heart of the Vorthax Imperial sanctum. Her usually immaculate diplomatic uniform was torn at the shoulder, revealing a bruise blooming across her collarbone. Behind her loomed High Inquisitor Vor, his four insectoid eyes reflecting the dim light of the chamber like polished obsidian. Human, Vor's translator droned, you have defiled the sacred choir by laying eyes upon it. Your punishment is death. Leora lifted her chin. Even now, defiance burned in her gaze. It was an accident. Your sacred choir was unmarked in a public gallery. Earth demands. Vor's serrated forelimb lashed out, backhanding her across the face. Blue-tinged blood trickled from her lip. Silence in the command center. Cross hands clenched into fists. Around him, officers at Earth Central Command had gone utterly still. On the secondary screens, he saw the same horror reflected in the faces of personnel from Berlin to Beijing. The broadcast was global. Sir, whispered Lieutenant Varma, her voice shaking, the Vorthax are transmitting this on every open channel. It's being relayed by their embassies on Proxima Centauri and Tau Ceti. This wasn't just an execution. It was a message. A death watched by billions. The camera zoomed in as Vor unsheathed a plasma-forged kriss, its edge shimmering with heat. Leora didn't flinch. Instead, she locked eyes with the feed, directly at Cross, it seemed, and spat a glob of blood onto Vor's armored foot. Remember this, she hissed. The blade fell. The screen cut to static. For 3 heartbeats, no one moved. Then chaos erupted. The general's reckoning. Cross was already striding toward the war room when his private line chimed. The face of President Alara Voss appeared, her usually composed features rigid with controlled fury. You saw? She asked, though the answer was obvious. I did. Cross' voice was gravel. That was Leora. My brother's daughter. A flicker of pain crossed Voss' face. She'd attended Leora's graduation from the diplomatic corps. The Vorthax ambassador claims this was lawful justice under their doctrine. They're refusing all further communication. Cross felt something inside him fracture. They butchered her on live vid to prove a point. And we will answer, Voss said softly. Then, louder, General Cross, authorize Omega Protocol. A cold clarity settled over him. Confirm order, Madam President. They killed one of ours to show their strength, she said. So we show them ours. Full authorization code, Prometheus Unbound. The sleeping giant awakens. Deep beneath the sands of Mars, Dusthaven shipyards shuddered to life. Gigantic bay doors, untouched for 30 years, groaned open as automated systems activated. Within, rows of Titan-class dreadnoughts, each the size of a small city, hummed as their reactors went critical. Near Jupiter's swirling storms, Outpost Chimera ejected its camouflage shell, revealing a bristling fortress armed with gravitic lances capable of cracking moons. And in the asteroid belt, Project Thunderclap Central AI received its final directive. Deploy all units. The truth behind the mask. Back in the war room, Cross pulled up the classified files. The numbers still stunned him. 487,522 warships hidden across Sol System. 22 million trained personnel in cryostasis. The Hammer of Sol, a planet-killer superweapon, status, dormant. All built in secret after the Kessel Massacre, when Earth learned a brutal truth, the galaxy respects only strength. Sir, Lieutenant Varma interrupted, we're detecting movement from the Vorthax border fleets. They're laughing at us. On screen, intercepted communications scrolled. Vorthax High Command, let the humans rage. What will they do? Send more weak diplomats? Cross smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. A message to the galaxy. At 0600 Earth Standard Time, every public screen on Earth switched to a single image, Leora's face, her last defiant sneer frozen in time. Below it, 3 words pulsed in crimson. Remember her name. Then, across the galaxy, a new transmission blasted through every Vorthax channel, unauthorized, unblockable. It showed Mars Dusthaven doors opening, the first Titans emerging like wolves from a den. Cross voice boomed over the footage. You executed one human. You thought we would beg. Plead. Negotiate. The camera panned to reveal 500,000 warships igniting their drives. We do not beg. We do not plead. We answer.